This happened to me a few summers ago when two friends and I were curious about an old legend of the White Lady. The story goes that in the 1940s, a woman and her husband were on their way back from their honeymoon and their car went off the road. The husband told his new wife to stay in the car while he walked into town to get help. When he returned with help, unfortunately, his wife had passed, and her ghost has haunted the bridge nearby ever since. As I said, my two friends and I were curious about this story. So around midnight, we jumped in the car and drove up the road to see if we could see any strange happenings. After about a 10-minute ride, we got there and stopped at the far side of the bridge. I decided I was going to get out of the car and walk across the bridge because that is supposedly when you would see the White Lady. I asked my friends if they wanted to come with me, but they were afraid and said that they would wait in the car. I got out and took my time and walked slowly as to not miss anything I might see. Eventually, I got to the middle of the bridge and stood there for a moment. Next thing I knew, my friend was driving his car quite fast across the bridge. I waved to him to slow down, but he sped right past me, leaving me wondering where he was going. I continued my trek across the bridge and found them stopped on the other side. And he replied that he thought he heard something while they waited for me. He admitted he freaked out and drove across. But that's not the weird part. The weird part is, he swears up and down I wasn't on the bridge at all, that he didn't see me, but I was clearly in the middle of the bridge when he drove by because I had to move out of the way so as to not get hit. Calming down a little, we decided to drive down the road and check out the White Lady's car that still remains down in the woods to this day. I took my flashlight and made my way down to the ditch where an old rusty car had lain for some time. The night was still with the full moon overhead. I looked around for a few minutes, not finding much, so I climbed back up over the bank and got back into the car. My friend put the car in gear and we started to pull away when we felt it. It felt like someone was pushing down on the back of the car. My friend revved the engine, but we didn't go anywhere. And then the car stalled. As soon as the car turned off, the pushing stopped, and the back end of the car raised back to its regular position. My friend finally got the car started, and we drove quickly back to town to see if there was anything wrong with the car. We parked in the parking lot of the first store we saw that had lights on outside. We got out and started at the front and made our way to the back. When we got to the trunk, we all stared in disbelief. There were two perfect white handprints in the center of the trunk, along with an indent, which leads you to believe someone had actually been pushing down on the car that night.